All right, we are live. We are live. What is up, everybody? Your man, your fan, Cocky Ryan, back with another live stream today. And of course, I'm back with my good buddy and co host of tonight's stream, Andrew, the mother loving textbook. How you doing, buddy?
Glad to be back with you here with you, man. I'm glad to discuss what Gamecock basketball has done and talk about the upcoming game Saturday.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a fun show, man. But we all know how frustrating and disappointing and just honestly awful this season has been for South Carolina football. So it's not going to be all bad today because we're going to talk about the basketball team too. That
Yeah.
both the men and the women's are undefeated, and I'd say
Yep.
they're doing quite well. Both of them, at least for right now. The men's team
Yeah.
still got to see a couple things. I want to see how they look against better competition coming
Yeah.
up. But they've done some things that haven't been done since the Frank McGuire years, and I'll mention that later. But
Yeah.
I want
They've
to
won.
thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy what we're going to be talking tonight. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. We got a game this weekend. South Carolina's got a game this weekend against the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. And I first want to say I have a lot of respect for Coastal Carolina. I do. I do. I respect the hell out of Coastal Carolina. I was a big fan of them baseball season because we literally started the Coastal cult
Yeah.
in our
We
Discord.
did. It was fun while it lasted too.
Yeah, Coastal, y'all are so close in baseball, man. Because I hate to say it, but till further notice, I think Coastal's they're the team in South Carolina when it comes to baseball right now. They just are. But Coastal is surprisingly to me. I actually am surprised the spread is this high. I am. Coastal's a 24-point underdog, dude. 24. Actually, no, excuse me. I think they're a 24 and a half
Yep.
point
I,
underdog.
I did see about 70%, 70 to 80% of people were betting on Coastal. So most people were taking Coastal to cover, but that line didn't really move much. I saw it move down to 23 and a half briefly, but it moved up to 24 and a half. So Vegas, despite everything we've seen, they still expect South Carolina to, you know, beat Coastal and win convincingly Saturday.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, man. I don't know. Do you want to go first on your feelings about this game, or do you want me to go first? Because
I can go first. So
all right,
I think we can all agree that, you know, before the season started, I don't think any of us looked upon this Coastal game as a very important game. We saw it as a cupcake, one that would probably go as the Wofford game did last year. But I think considering everything that's happened, from South Carolina just underperforming expectations this season, from Mike Schuler having to be fired, from Lonnie Teasley having to be fired, to blowing a 30-3 lead last week. I think we can all agree that this is a very important game, even though South Carolina has no hopes for bowl eligibility. And I think it's a very important game for one big reason that I think we can all agree on. If South Carolina does not come out and put Coastal away easy and looks ugly in this game, this could become and will become ugly for Shane Beamer. A lot of South Carolina fans have started to call for his head. A lot of South Carolina fans, what happened last Saturday was, the boiling point that sort of just pushed them over. So this is a big game for South Carolina, and more importantly, it's a very big game for Shane Beamer to, snap the losing streak, to, he can come out and South Carolina can win convincingly. he can avoid. He can probably avoid being fired this year. This year, assuming he doesn't look absolutely horrible next week. But for him, it's considering all the noise surrounding this program and surrounding his future at South Carolina for Beamer. This is a very important game and one that he not only needs to win but win convincingly for his future and for his future at this program. So those are my thoughts on it. Looking at Coastal statistics, I have them pulled up here. Defensively,
Well,
that they give up 29.7 points per game. They rank 105th out of 136 teams, so they're not very good defensively at all. Offensively, they average 25.7 points per game, which is 79th out of 136. But that's kind of a misleading statistic because if you've kept up with them, the past 4 games, they have scored over 40 plus points in each of them. And that's been due to, in large part, to Samari Collier, who was a third-string quarterback, a senior quarterback, who they started playing, and they've had much more success running the ball since they've started, playing him. That's why they've put up 40-plus points in each of these games. Now, you might look at this and go, if Coastal's, scoring about 40-plus points a game and, they're kind of hot, lately, why the heck does Vegas think South Carolina should win this game by about 24, 25 points? I question that too. I don't think South Carolina will cover. I'm not going to give away my score prediction, but I don't think South Carolina will cover. I will say I do think this is in large part due to the fact that if you kept up with the Coastal Carolina-Georgia Southern game last Saturday, Samari Collier got injured in that game. He will not play this Saturday against South Carolina. He's injured, he's hurt, he's out, so they're going to have to play Tad Hudson, who I think has played some. He was the original starting quarterback, but that's a big blow to this Coastal offense, particularly the rushing offense. So I think that's part of the reason why Vegas, I think, has favored South Carolina as much as they did. That and the fact that I think they feel a little bit better about South Carolina's offense considering that Mike Shula is gone. So
I was actually going to say, how much thought do you think they might be taking into the first half performance against Texas A&M? Because I did.
Yeah.
One of my friends, interestingly, brought that up. But first, before we go any further, what's going on? Zanino, welcome. Says, what's good, Ryan Andrew? Y'all see Switch Hard's Week 12 recap yet? I'm not. Not yet. Not yet. I haven't even kept up with Squid's content lately. I need to check back in with him.
I haven't, but I'll watch it, at least the section that talks about the South Carolina A&M game. Don't spoil it for me, but I'm willing just to go ahead and bet that he made South Carolina Clown of the Week, and deservedly so. I mean, blowing a 30-3 lead, that's...
I mean, who the hell else would it be, man? You know what I mean? But what's up, Michael Zakella? Oh, name change? Yes, sir. I decided to change my name to Cocky Ryan because if I'm being honest with you, here's the reason why I did it. Number one, my name's Ryan. I don't care who knows it. I really don't care who knows if my name's Ryan or not. And two, when you think about it, SECFT is... Who's going to know you're a Gamecock fan with that kind of name, man? It doesn't really tell you. So I feel like Cocky Ryan would tell the algorithm and tell people I cover the Gamecock. So I just felt like it was better. But good to see you, Michael. It's been a while, man. I hope you're doing well. It's always good to see you and always good to hear from you, my friend. But, yeah, I mean, the Coastal game, the biggest thing that worries me the most, I'll be honest, the Veer offense kind of scares me, man. I mean, they are a run-heavy team. They just are. Like you mentioned, of course, their running back is injured, so maybe that does have a play. Yeah, but to me, I'm just going to say it, man, that spread is ridiculous. Look, I'm not trying to be a old Debbie Downer, quote unquote, but it's just realistically, it's too much, man. This game to me has a Jacksonville State vibe from a couple of years ago, but
I remember that game. I was there.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of my thing. And what's up, Gavin? Gavin wants to know if you're coming to the Coastal game. I sadly will not be. I thought I would, but turns out we got some plans this weekend. I got to get a haircut, and then we got to go and do some things too. So I wanted to go to the Coastal game. I planned on going, especially because it's the it's the salute the troops game, and that obviously, if you know me personally, that's a really really big deal for me as someone who has a long family of veterans. So yeah, but you know, like I said, that Veer offense scares me, dude. It just does.
Yeah.
And oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I can't. Yeah, I can't. Blame you. And again, the Veer offense, it is by no means a modern offense. I mean, it was really used in the 1970s, back when the wishbone was popular. It's just because it's not really used anymore. Whenever it's pulled out, it can it can really just catch a team off guard, and it can be hard to figure out how to deal with it and stop it. I was listening to Nick Saban on College Game Day a few weeks ago, and he talked about in 2011 when he was the head coach of Alabama. They played Georgia Southern, and that Alabama team that year was really good. They won the national title. They beat LSU in a rematch, so they were really good. And Georgia Southern was an FCS team that at the time, so they were the least talented team Alabama was playing. And Georgia Southern, they were an option team, which is in many ways similar to the Veer. And Georgia Southern racked up 302 yards rushing that day against an elite Alabama defense that shut out
Yeah,
Alabama, that shut out LSU in the national title game. And it wasn't because Alabama had a bad run defense or anything like that. It's just because they weren't used to seeing the options, having to deal with that style of football. So it sort of caught them off guard, and it was hard to deal with it. And I also remember in 2018. I'm sure many of you remember this, when they were the number one team in the country and they were tied with the Citadel at halftime, because it took them a whole half to figure out how to shut down that option offense. So I
yeah,
mean,
that's like you said, that's what scares me about it. It's rarely seen, and it's honestly, it's dangerous. It's like a wild card if you know what I mean
it's
by
to use
that.
an analogy, it's like when you go to a class and a professor just throws you a pop quiz that out of nowhere you weren't expecting, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like I did not prepare for this. And then you're
Yeah,
just scrambling trying to find out, how do I do this, bro? How do I do this? I did not prepare for this.
yeah.
It's just got that kind of feeling to it. But yeah, and another thing about Coastal, man, like we said, we can criticize their defense and stuff all we want, and rightfully so. But Coastal ain't no cupcake, man. They're second within the Sun Belt Conference, and again, like they have a winning record. And they did lose to Georgia Southern. Speaking of Georgia Southern, by the way, they did lose to them 40-45. Coastal
That,
can score.
yeah,
They
that
can
was the
score.
game. That was the game they lost Collier.
Yeah, but Coastal can score.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been scoring 40 points quite a bit, man.
yeah,
They have, and like you said, I hope Collier's all right, because that is a loss. I mean, he's been an absolute playmaker for them.
yeah.
But
I definitely think you know not having Collier, that is definitely going to hurt them and hurt their chances without a doubt. I still think they could potentially put up a fight, though. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, yeah. What's up, Wolverine? Says Lark Area forever. What's up, Gamecock Chuck? Says Coastal 43, South Carolina 42. Oh man, if we score 42, dude.
Yeah,
What's up, Eddie? Good to see you, buddy. Hey guys, stopping by for a while. I hope you guys are doing well. We are doing well, man. I hope you are as well. You know, I will say this. I made I've told you guys I'm making real progress towards improving my life and getting into shape. I've been doing something I haven't been doing in a while, which is exercising. I've walked. I have a grocery store right down the street from me, and I've been walking there and back 3 times a day. I have nearly 8,000 steps on the day.
Oh,
today. I
wow.
tracked my steps. It's the most I've done in a long time.
I actually did some walking too after I got out of my last class. I walked around my university campus for about an hour. So that's something I've been trying to do lately because it's something I need to be doing too.
Yeah, but for me, it's just the reason I'm doing this is number one, just to do it for myself, just to better myself. But number two, I'm planning on pursuing a career in meteorology and
Cool.
chasing weather and tracking the weather and stuff. And I don't know if you've seen meteorologists, but got to be quite a bit in shape to do things like that.
Yeah.
But being a meteorologist has been my calling since I was a little boy. So
Yeah.
we're gonna make it happen, or we're gonna try to. But anyways, getting back to the Gamecocks, this game scares me, dude. It really, really, really does. A lot of people will look at this game and say, "Well, it's Coastal Carolina." I'm like, okay, Coastal is not a pushover. Number one, they are not. Coastal is very, very capable of beating us. They are, even without him, even without him. It just this feels like this game scares me, man. It does.
Yeah.
However, with that being said, I think this is going to be a lot like the Jacksonville State game. Personally, who remembers that game in 2023?
I was there. I remember when that wide receiver came down with that catch. I thought, oh my goodness, South Carolina's about to lose. Then Stone Blanton called a game because Jacksonville State, for some reason, decided to pass when they were having success running it, and that sealed it. But I remember that game, and
That's the thing. Coastal Carolina is a run heavy team.
yeah,
If you look at them, and that to me, and I know our defense has played well for the most part this season. I
not
do know that.
not always
But,
against the run. They kind of have struggled against the run defense a little bit.
yeah, but that I was about to bring that up. That's what
Yeah,
scares me too. But if you remember that Jacksonville when Rich Rod brought those other Gamecocks all the way down to Columbia,
yep,
this game just makes me. I want to feel good about this one. I do. I do want to tell you guys, hey, I'm not worried. I think we're gonna, pounce on Coastal. But this to me feels like potential danger. Like it just does, and maybe I'm down bad. I don't think it is just being down. I think this is a game where we could legitimately lose.
yeah,
Seriously. And I
and
get it. Everyone says, "Well, look how good we looked in the first half against A&M." Yeah, but look how bad we looked in the second half. Y'all, football's it's a
yeah,
2-half sport, not a 1-half sport.
3-minute game.
Yeah, but then again, Shane Beamer, we're a fourth quarter team according to him, but we've been outscored in the fourth quarter like almost every game this year.
Maybe that's what he means when he says a fourth quarter team.
Yeah, hey, but don't worry, Gamecock fans. As bad as this season has gone, shut up. I don't care about WinZip Tool. Shut up. Anyways, don't care. Don't care about you, buddy. Go away. But
Don't you just hate pop-ups?
yeah, I do. This happened 3 times since I've been streaming. But don't worry, Gamecock fans. Look, this year has been bad, but we're going to the playoffs next year. Shane Beamer told us we're going to be sitting here next year around this time watching to see what we're going to be in the playoff rankings. We're this close, y'all. Don't worry. We're this close.
Yep. We're this close. Now just yeah.
Here, I'll read some comments real quick though. I'm middle aged and I do around 20,000 steps per day. Oh wow. And 5'11", lost from 215 to 165. Congratulations, man. That's impressive. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm building up though. I'll be doing 20,000 in time for sure, but I'm building up. But good. Chuck says, "Good luck, Ryan. Stay focused, keep pushing, and always remember your goals. That will motivate you." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, Chuck. Here's what I'll tell you, man. To be a meteorologist is going to be a hard path. You got to know some very, and I mean very advanced math.
You do.
And I mean, you got to learn how to read radars. You got to learn how the climate and the atmosphere and stuff works.
Yep.
And I could tell you stuff about how tornadoes spawn and develop because I've had an interest of that since I was a little boy, and I've studied the hell
Me
out of
too.
tornadoes.
Yeah.
But what
I
are you
think
going to say?
I was going to say, I'm not a meteorology major. I'm a computer science major, but meteorology has always been something that has interested me. When I was in the fifth grade I don't know if they, not to get off topic here or anything, I don't know if they did this at your, at elementary school, but at mine, at 8 in the morning, we'd turn on televisions and there'd be these students, in the library, having a little 5 minute news show, and it would be broadcast out across the whole school. And I would do meteorology for them. So I guess you can say I kind of have some experience with that. But yeah, I'm glad you're into meteorology. It's a very interesting field.
Oh, yeah. But I was going to say, look, you two know what I've noticed. Eddie, Chuck, Andrew, Gavin, whoever else is in here. If you truly want to learn something, you will learn it.
Exactly.
It might be hard, but if you really want to learn something, you will put in the time and effort to study it.
Exactly.
And Ryan, if you need a Marine to come motivate you, just let me know. I might have to take you up on that, Chuck. If
Yeah.
there's a day where I'm lacking, I'll call you up and say, man, you might need to whip my ass into shape, man. Oh man. But Eddie, if I get focused and put my mind, I'll lose 30 pounds in about 2 months. You know what's crazy? I've actually lost 22 in 1 month. I think a lot of that's water weight, but that's still good progress. So, I mean, my metabolism, my doctor says my metabolism's still really, 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 really good. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm seeing enormous progress in just 1 month. But I guess we'll get back to talking about the Gamecocks and everything. But, like I said, I mean, and Beamer said this too about them as well. Offensively, they're running the heck out of the football. They've used 3 quarterbacks this year, and I know one of them is injured, but Coastal will be hard, I think, to stomp on the ground a little bit. I'm not trying to pump them up as if they're great and everything, but it's just we have seen South Carolina struggle to stop the run a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's just for me, this is just not a team you can take lightly. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, even if you don't think this will be close, we've seen South Carolina come out and sort of sleepwalk through the first half of games. I mean, the Wofford game last year, not a whole lot of people talk about that, but up until the final drive of the first half, that was a 14-9 ball game. SC State up until, the Vicari Swain punt returns, South Carolina was losing that game. That would have been a 3-3 game at halftime without the, Vicari Swain punt returns. So, we've seen South Carolina come out under Shane Beamer against inferior competition and sort of, this sort of sleepwalk, through the first half. It take them a half to really get in a rhythm. So, there is, no reason to think that, South Carolina's going to be guns blazing coming out at the gate, and that those dominate them for the entirety of the game. I will say I do think this will be a close game, at least for most of the first half.
Yeah. Eddie said Old Dominion just now. Yeah, I mean, this game gives me those vibes. It gives me the vibe that I had coming into the Georgia State game a couple years ago. It gave me the vibe of the Old Dominion game. It was like, hey, Old Dominion ain't no pushover, but I still think we're gonna win. And that was my first game at Williams-Brice Stadium in like 10 years, and they almost freaking lost.
Yeah.
But yeah. Eddie says Ryan weather is a huge interest for me. Good luck, brother. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, weather is that's my passion, man. That's my passion, and I'm gonna chase it like a tornado down a highway. But yeah, it's just to me like defensively, look, South Carolina's defense played. I mean, now let's be honest. A lot of what happened in the first half of that A&M game, let's just be honest, it was aided by some weird stuff A&M was doing. Some
They
turnovers.
missed two
Marshall
field
Reed just
goals.
couldn't hit a fly apparently,
Yeah,
and just missed. They missed like how many field goals did they miss again? Like two or three?
they missed two because they they marched down the field and they missed one, and then they on that Lenore Sells interception they donked one. So then you had the three turnovers, that they had, and the interception in the end zone and the interception to set up the field goal to make it 30-3 before the half. So they were shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, the defense definitely looked more motivated in the first half, and they definitely capitalized. But I mean, A&M definitely aided that.
Yeah, for sure. But and again, take no credit away from our defense because our defense, they have done some good this season. They have shown potential, but it's just for me like this game gives me the vibes of the offense that Vanderbilt ran that we just had such a hard time stopping.
That spread option
Yeah, it
ran by
just
the other Tim Beck and Jerry Kill.
yeah, it just
Was,
this game and the kind of offense Coastal runs just gives me that vibe. It really does, and for me, this is another question, and obviously, you do have to wonder this. I mean, because like you said, we have nothing to play for, man. We really have nothing to play for, right? If we
I
win
mean,
these next two games, I mean,
yeah,
okay, cool, you won out. You maybe Coach Beamer gets another year for that, maybe, but like, I mean, it may be it's a feel good thing if you know what I mean. Like, you're not going to a bowl. The best you can do is 5-7, and that's a catastrophic
yeah,
disappointment. The likes I don't think any of us thought was possible in the offseason.
yeah. Nobody
So
foresaw that.
yeah, I just it. Let me be honest, Andrew. If someone told you we were going 5-7 or something, or 4-8, what would you have told them?
I would have I would have accused them of being a Clemson fan trolling South Carolina or a Georgia fan. That's what I would have done. I
Yeah,
mean, that
just a troll. That's I would have called you the same thing. But it's just back to my point. Does the team just flat out give up? Do they? I don't think they are going to give up in the sense like, oh, they don't even care anymore. Like, as in, oh, they don't care. They're just going to let Coastal come in and beat them. But it's just, I do pose that question, honest to God. Just because, like, there's like, you don't have anything to play for, your season's over. It's just like, again, I feel bad for asking that question. I really do. But that is a thought that has entered my head, man. What do you think about that?
I mean, Shane Beamer was asked about this question, and he said, that they had a culture of, competing and coming out and competing in that they wouldn't, but we've never, been in a situation under Shane Beamer where it's been guaranteed that South Carolina won't make a bowl game. Even in 2023, they were 2-6, and they battled back to 5-6, and it wasn't guaranteed they weren't making a bowl game until they lost to Clemson. So they've
Yeah.
never been at this point under Shane Beamer where they don't even have a bowl to play for. So that is something to consider. I mean, I don't think that they'll give up, that they'll just, come out and flat out give up. I mean, obvious. I do think that, they might have a, little bit of a hangover from last week in terms of demoralization. I think, that's something that could definitely hurt them. I think this team, though, they definitely, understand the situation that Shane Beamer is in. And I think there will definitely be players who want to come out and play for him to help save his job. And And I think that's, if this team comes out and absolutely dominates Coastal Carolina, I think that'll be why, because they hear the noise regarding their coach and they want to come out and, play for him and, save his job because they know that he has his back against the wall. So I think that could be potential motivation. But yeah, I mean, if they come out and just look unmotivated Saturday, you will know at that point that Shane Beamer has sort of just lost them, and that would just be a terrible sign of him, regarding him and his tenure. But I think they hear the noise, and I think at the very least there will be some of them who will use that as motivation, because I think they all understand that if they let Coastal Carolina come in and beat them Saturday, it's bye-bye Beamer.
Yeah. If you lose this game, man, and again, I called my shot after the A&M game on Saturday. I do believe we probably, I do think we need to move in a different direction as a program. I do. But it's like, if you lose this game, like, there should not be, if anybody is left on the train, if you lose this weekend, I don't know what's wrong with you, because there are people just blindly defending him on Twitter right now. I mean, there are people who will go to war for Shane Beamer. And look, I've been a Shane Beamer defender. I have. In the past, I have defended him. I have liked him. In 2023, I was one of those idiots that blamed everything on injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, that I was one of those guys, but
yeah,
it's just, to me, like, if you lose, oh man, it's done. It's done. So if you lose this game, man,
it I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Sandlot. There's a scene in the movie where you have the old man who's played by James Earl Jones, and you have the main character, and he walks. I think he walks up to him, and he like hands him, his dad's baseball that they had been chasing after because they knocked it over the fence, and the dog got it that had been signed by Babe Ruth. And the old man grabs it and he says, "I understand you're in trouble." And he says, "I am." And he said, "It belonged to my dad, and Babe Ruth signed it." And the old man, he's blind, but he sort of sits back and says, "I take that back. You're not in trouble. You're dead right where you stand. If South Carolina loses to Coastal Carolina, Shane Beamer is dead right where he stands."
Yeah, you're pretty much a dead man walking. I mean, you are.
Yeah.
Like, if you lose that game, you're a dead man walking. I mean,
and I
no,
definitely think that Beamer understands this, and the players understand this, and that's why I think it'll be very interesting to see just their effort and motivation Saturday, because that'll tell you a lot.
It will.
It'll tell you a lot about what you need to know about where the culture is right now under Shane Beamer, and
yeah,
that is for me, that's one of my keys to the game: pouncing on Coastal early. Again, we've seen South Carolina again struggle with some of these smaller schools for a half, but once they get that big touchdown and just sort of pull away, it's game over. So for me, I think that'll be a big key Saturday. Coming out of the gate and trying to put them away early, basically doing what we thought they had done against A&M last week. We thought they had put them away, but
yeah.
But I mean, if you can come out and do that against Coastal Saturday, I don't think they have a shot, because the thing is with those veer option offenses, they aren't really made to sort of, they aren't really made to help you come back from when you're, down in a heavy deficit. When you run those offenses, it's just sort of meant to be, an ugly, knock it down, drag it out, fight, a relatively low scoring fight. So, usually when you run those offenses, you're trying to be more physical. You try to keep it a relatively low score game, try to, get yards on the ground. So, if Coastal Carolina falls, down and it's a heavy deficit early, that veer offense, that's not exactly an offense made for them to be able to, just, march down the field quickly and come back quickly as A&M's offense is. I mean, again, I will say I haven't really watched them this year, so I don't really know all the innovative, wrinkles of the offense and what their passing game was like. I mean, I know they're more of a rushing team. I don't know, if they like have an air raid, spread style passing game or not, but I do know that those option and veer offenses, they're not made to erase a crazy deficit, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to read some comments before we finally give our prediction. Eddie says, "No more Ryan Hall, but the future will be storm expert Cocky Ryan." Yeah, Ryan Hall does a good job. He does. He does. I like his coverage. I mean I really do. I like Ryan Hall, but I'm coming for him, bro. Reed Timmer, I'm coming for your ass too, man. Love you, but I'm coming for you as well. I'm joking. I'm joking, but they will be down some first half coaches to players. Y'all watch. Beamer culture. Heard that for several years. To heck with this culture. Only words. Play second half all year, and we win 7 or 8 this year. That's that is something I want to mention real quick. So Beamer one we know in the press conference he said, you know, I guarantee you, he said, well, last year around this time we were sitting there watching where we were in the playoffs rankings, and I guarantee you, next year on this day we'll be sitting and watching where we are in the playoff rankings. All right, so let's say he's right, okay? Let's say South Carolina actually does respond next year and has an 8-9 win, or even, my lord, actually makes the playoffs. You have a major consistency problem if that's the case, because 2022 you win 8 games. 2023 you win 5 games. 2024 you win 9 games. You almost made the playoffs. And then in 2025, I mean, you're going to miss a bowl game yet again. So if Beamer does have a really good year next year, like he swears he's going to do, the question is going to be, can he avoid a letdown the next year? Because it's like after every big season Carolina's had under him, they've regressed badly the following year, right?
Yeah, I've sort of, joked about it with you, but, the joke about
Oh yeah.
maybe we should renegotiate Beamer's contract to let him only coach in even years because it's just, I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride under him. And I think, consistently, consistency will be, is just a big thing for him that it feels that they're lacking right now. But yeah, I think, Beamer in that press conference, I mean, I think he, obviously he hears the noise and he understands it, and I think basically what he's doing by that is he's setting the standard next year by which he will be judged by, so to speak. People will bookmark, that tweet. People will, remember, people remember it. If South Carolina's, sitting in a similar spot next year and they're not, contending for playoff rankings, people will whip this out at them. So I think, what Beamer was trying to do by that is he understands that he's under pressure. He understands the noise, and I think that was almost in some sense a strategic move on this part, not just to promise fans something heading into next year, but also to also set an objective standard by which he will be judged by, because
Yeah, but
that might make some people say, well, he's not setting some arbitrary standard. He's setting some objective standard. So if he doesn't fulfill it, he'll have no
I
excuse.
mean,
So I think I think the whole thing is in some sense a part of, his sales pitch to the fan base on trying to come back next year by, making a promise, but not just making an arbitrary promise, but by setting a
yeah,
standard
I
by which he'll
get
be
that,
judged by, so people don't
but
get.
I gotta say, I don't think that's what you say after blowing the biggest. I don't think that's what you say after blowing a 27-point lead, and after allowing the biggest comeback in Texas A&M football history. Like, to me, fans are gonna look at that like, dude, can you please stop embarrassing us?
I
Like,
mean,
can you please keep your mouth shut? We don't want to hear it. You just blew you blew it against top 3 team on the road. No one wants to hear all of this. Like it's a read the room type of feel, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some fans who feel that way. I think with regarding Beamer, if his seat was not hot, he definitely would have never said that. I think it's because his seat is hot and because, because he knows there's a chance he gets fired at the end of this year. I think because Saturday guaranteed, even if he don't want to admit it, that there is a chance he gets fired after this year. That he wanted to go out and I guess, try to say that as part of some sort of, again, sales pitch to, get back next year. I mean, again, I can't read his mind, but I'm just trying to think about, what he was trying to do when he said that. I mean, I will
Oh
say,
yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm necessarily upset at him like some fans are because, you can't just come out and say, we're going to, we're going to suck. And I think I like the fact that he's setting an objective standard next year, but all I have to say is if they are not competing for a playoff ranking next year, like you said, he'll definitely look like a clown and he'll be looking for his way out the door. So
I mean, yeah, but for me, it's a read the room moment. Like fans just don't want to hear any of that when you're 3-7, dude. I'm sorry.
well,
I do want to
that's-
want to read the comments
yeah,
though. Eddie says, and they lost their starting quarterbacks, so no excuses. Yeah, that for me, and I told you guys, this game does worry me a little bit. When I say worried, it's like, oh, this could be an issue. This could be a losable game if we screw around. I feel a lot worse about it though. If they had Samari Collier,
yeah,
I would. But I mean, look, they can still look even with or without them, they can still make things difficult.
yeah.
But I'm in Conway. They are jacked up for us, but no way it should be close. If so, I think it's going to be close, Eddie. Not to spoil my prediction, I think it's going to be close, my friend. I think it's going to be close, but yeah, Eddie's right when he said this. I like what Spurrier's saying. Yeah, and I brought this up many times. Spurrier, people were talking like making bowl games and beating Clemson. That's the expectation here. Spurrier's like, no, the expectation is to win the
Yeah.
SEC. Beating Clemson is
Yeah.
what will come with it. So yeah,
I will.
I like that too, man.
I will say another thing about Spurrier too, that I think a lot of people liked is Spurrier had a tendency to be very blunt at times. Like
Oh
just
yeah,
just go watch some of his press conferences because some of them are up on YouTube after an ugly win or ugly loss. He just literally walked in there and was blunt. Like he would say stuff like that team was so much better out coached us, outplayed us. The odds makers didn't know what the heck they were talking about. It wasn't even funny. I'll never forget his press conference after the UCF game in 2013, where he
oh
immediately
man,
that was a game that South Carolina won, by the way, and UCF was a very good team that year. South Carolina was the only team to beat them that year, and that was on the
dude,
road in
my
their
Clemson cousin was giving me so much hell after that game. They were like, "Man, y'all struggle with UCF."
a
That's what he
UCF team that beat Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl. So
Yeah, but UCF just had the vibe back then for everyone.
yeah,
Oh, UCF's just a nobody.
yeah, and I
But
remember Spurrier walking in that press conference, and I've talked about this some, but when he yanks out the chair, you can tell he's mad by the way he yanks it out. Like I could tell just by the sound the chair made, he was mad, and he comes in and sits down. We didn't win 28-10, and talks about them blowing a lead even though they won, and just he was angry, and that's a contrast I've sort of noticed between Spurrier and Beamer. Both get emotional after losses, and you should get emotional. The worst thing you could show in a press conference after a loss is just complete apathy, because that would show you were down and out and didn't care. But I've noticed that the difference between the two is Spurrier had a tendency to get mad, while Beamer, I feel like sometimes has a tendency to get sad. Like he sort of cried
yeah,
some in press conferences.
emotional like a fan would be.
And Spurrier would show more of that anger. And again, there's nothing wrong with showing emotion. It's a very good a very good sign for a coach to show emotion, because it shows that they care. There's this book that Lou Holtz wrote, and he talked about teamwork and motivation. And I'll never forget reading this. Not to digress, but he talked about in 1987 how they had just lost a bowl game to Texas A&M. I believe it was the Cotton Bowl, and he walks into the locker room and some players were cutting up like it was nothing, and then he sees this offensive lineman named Chris Zoritz who didn't even play in the game that day, and he's just sitting there and he's crying because he was upset that Notre Dame lost even though he didn't play. And he said, that's what I want to see, because that's how I knew that he cared. So emotion is something that's very important, and it can be used to motivate. But with that being said, I would much rather a coach come out and be angry than sad, because I believe it is much easier to turn anger into motivation than it is sadness. Sadness, I feel like it's hard to, turn sadness into anything positive, because when you're sad, you're drained of energy, you're down and out, you're in a state of despair. But when you're angry, you're energetic, you feel like you could punch through a brick wall. So anger is something that I think can much more easily be used for the sake of motivation. And the reason why I'm going off on this tangent and bringing it up is because something that I've wanted to see out of Shane Beamer, I have nothing wrong with him getting emotional in press conferences after losses and all this, but I want to see him show some anger after a big loss rather than sadness. Like when South Carolina lost to A&M, I would have wanted him to walk into that press conference and show a little bit of anger and just be blunt a little bit like Spurrier would, and get mad, because I mean, a lot of fans have criticized his post game antics some, and I mean, when you lose, that's bound to happen. But I think if he were to show anger, there would actually be some fans who would applaud that, because I mean, obviously Beamer cares. He wants to improve, but if they were to come out and see him get angry, they would know that the team would probably come out next week or next couple of weeks and play more motivated, because you would know that Beamer would be mad. He would be after them, and that energy and attitude would resonate among them, and they would take that out on their next opponent. So that's something that I would sort of like to see out of him more.
Yeah, for sure. Going to read some comments, and then after 47 minutes, we're going to finally give our prediction. I'm surprised the preview has taken us this long, honestly. Man, we've been talking about this game for a while, but
Yeah, I feel like I've gone on a filibuster.
No, you're good, man. I'm just saying, I don't know, for some reason I thought this game wouldn't be a lot to really talk about, but it is. But Eddie says I'm in Conway,
we all know it's at stake.
What?
I said, well, I think part of the reason why we have so much to talk about is because, to say the quiet part out loud, everybody knows what's at stake in this game.
Yeah. But Eddie says I'm in Conway, so they're jacked up for us, but no way. Oh yeah, well, yeah, they are definitely Coastal is definitely jacked for this. I mean, it's a big game for them, man. And I know they might look at us and say, oh no, it's a 3-win South Carolina team, but like, bro, that win would be massive for Coastal Carolina for many reasons. But anyways, let's go ahead and give my prediction. I'll go first. Once again, I have a lot of respect for Coastal Carolina. Like, Chance, I love you. Truly. I do. They are literally blood with USC, if you know what I mean. If anyone knows the history of Coastal Carolina, they are literally our flesh and blood. They are. And I'm not saying that in the trash talking sense. I mean, they literally are our flesh and blood. So, I have a lot of respect for them, and I love them very much. And I can't wait to enjoy watching them play baseball again, because I've become a Coastal baseball fan, even though I'm always a Gamecock, of course. But Coastal, definitely my second favorite baseball team. So, with that being said, this game I think is going to be almost exactly like the Jacksonville State game. Coastal is going to keep this game close for a long time. And I think they're going to have leads on us in the third quarter, maybe even the fourth. Jacksonville State, who remembers in the third quarter, Jacksonville State, Rich Rod, he brought that team up into Columbia, and they had a 28-21 lead in the third quarter. And I'll be honest, I thought that game was over. Their veer style offense does scare me. So like we said, South Carolina's got to start up fast here. They got to jump up on them early, and if you do, again, like you said, it again, no league will ever feel safe to me ever again after the Texas A&M game last week. So I can't say nothing because it would sound wrong for me to say, well, ain't no way we let them come back if we do it to them. Because saying that after, oh my God, shut up, saying that after 27-3, 30-3 lead just feels wrong to me. But while this game does worry me, and I think Coastal's going to keep this close for a long time, I do think South Carolina defensively will play well enough to win the game. I think South Carolina has special teams or defensive score, just like in the Jacksonville State game, to pull away in this one. And I got a similar score. 35 South Carolina. I'll almost say 35-24 South Carolina. I really think this is close, y'all. I really do. I really do. I think this is going to be a very close game. I don't think we cover. I think Coastal is going to make this a game for as long as possible. I hope Carolina comes out and beats them bad. Well, again, all love and respect to Coastal because I want to see something positive, but it's just Coastal is going to make this a game. We know it. And it's just for me, I do think it's going to be a little difficult for us in some way. The Sunshine Pumpers will listen to me say that and say, "Oh, this guy's an idiot." Well, no. It's just I'm just telling you the truth, man. I'm just telling you the truth. This is going to be a close game for 3 quarters. I believe that, and then in the fourth quarter, I don't know because we've been outscored in the fourth quarter, so maybe not the fourth quarter, but at some point, I think South Carolina is going to get a non-offensive touchdown that's going to seal the deal. That's how I feel. South Carolina 35, Coastal Carolina 24. That's my prediction. 11-point win for South Carolina, and go into rivalry week with our first win since September in our first home game in nearly a month.
Crazy, ridiculous.
Oh man, but yeah, go ahead and give your opinion, man. I've gone on long enough. It's your turn, buddy.
Yeah, I am agree with you on a lot of points. I don't think South Carolina will cover, as I said earlier. I agree that South Carolina will have a non-offensive touchdown. And that's another one of my keys to the game, having a non-offensive touchdown. Because in every game they've won this year, they've had a non-offensive touchdown, and that's been big for them. I think that Coastal Carolina is going to come out motivated. This is their Super Bowl. They care a lot about winning, and I think South Carolina could potentially have a demoralization effect after such a demoralizing loss as what we saw last week, particularly in the first half. Coastal Carolina will be hurt by not having Samari Collier, but this team is more than him. And, they're a pretty decent team, at 6-4. And, again, the running of your offense, it could take South Carolina a little while just to settle in and shut that thing down. I think that the first half of this game is going to be like the first half of the South Carolina State and Wofford game last year. I think for most of the first half, if not all of it, this will be a tight ball game. I think it'll take Carolina a little while to settle in. I do think that in the second half, South Carolina will pull away from Coastal. I think, think coming out in the second half, especially if it's a tight game, they're going to be well aware of what's at stake, and I think they will pull away. I think they will probably have a non-offensive touchdown to really, change the momentum, shift the momentum of the game, and sort of, seal it. I think that the offense will probably – I think that South Carolina's offense will eclipse 400 total yards in this game for the first time this season just because it's against a Coastal Carolina defense that hasn't been all that great. And, well, I don't think Mike Fury is, the best play caller. I do think he's much better than Shula. Again, I don't think South Carolina covers. I think this will be a tight game for most of the first half, but I do think that South Carolina pulls away in the second half. I think Coastal just sort of gets – I think they wear Coastal down and, exhaust them. I'm going to say South Carolina 38, Coastal 17.
I respect it. Definitely a little bit more confident than I am.
A little more, not again,
Yeah,
not
much, but a little
bit, but a little more confident that they can, pull away. And
look, I hope you're right, man. I really do. But to me, that South Carolina State game, like you said, dude, without the non-offensive scores, it's a 17-10 game against SC State.
Yeah,
all love and respect, by the way, to those boys in Orangeburg. But
and
this to me, it literally reminds me of the Jacksonville State game from 2023. I've said it multiple times. Like Coastal, like this is just how I feel about it, y'all. This is how I feel about it. All right, y'all don't have to agree with me. Y'all can think that Carolina's going to destroy Coastal, but I do think South Carolina pulls away with a non-offensive score late. But I got this being a pretty close game. I think Carolina wins by 11 points because I think Coastal's going to come in and fight. And I do think South Carolina will struggle to stop them for a little bit, but then maybe the defense clamps down. I don't know. But I do think South Carolina wins, but I would not be the least bit I would not be the least bit surprised if Coastal beats us. I'll be honest. Maybe I'm just down bad, but dude, I just would not be surprised. Yeah. I don't think we lose, but I think Coastal makes this very ugly for a majority of the game. I do.
Yeah. And I will say, I can't call anybody crazy for thinking South Carolina could lose this game. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
all I have to say is if you've been a fan for this program for a good number of years and you've watched this program play football, this team could be undefeated right now, and it still shouldn't surprise you if they come out and find a way to look ugly against inferior competition. It's just, as a Gamecock fan, it's just sort of ingrained into your blood, so to speak.
Never forget Old Dominion, buddy. Never forget Old Dominion. Never forget SC State for the majority of the game.
Never forget
Old Dominion. Never forget App State.
Never forget
Troy or East Carolina. Multiple examples in 2021. Never forget this freaking Citadel.
Never forget Navy.
Yeah.
God. That was a team that was unbeaten and ranked number 2 in the country. Against a Navy team that had a losing record and was without their star running back that day, which I'm not getting into that, but we know what we've come to know what to expect as Gamecock fans.
You see what Eddie said for you?
I appreciate it, Eddie. Thank you so much for the compliment, man. It's I'm glad you agree with me. Hopefully they just come out and it's guns blazing, and they score a lot of points in the first half. They don't let Coastal hang around for a half, and they can somehow cover the spread. I think that we would all feel better heading into the Clemson game, and I think Shane Beamer needs that. If I was him, and I imagine it's late in the season. I don't know what there is left to hide in the playbook, but if I were him, I would just open it up early. I would probably go no huddle. I would do, some of those running, game spread concepts I've talked about. I would do some short passes, just try to march down that field early and just pile on top of them early, just come out there and just immediately shut down any speculation that you could lose this game or that it could be an ugly game, silence those who doubt that South Carolina could win this game by a lot and just, cover the spread. I think that's what this team and Shane Beamer needs, and that's what they need to do.
And by all means, please I
Just
love to be wrong, man. I mean, I picked us to win, so like I don't. So I
yeah,
mean, no one should really get angry at me, but like for me, it's just again the Veer offense, like the idea of that type of offense, like it reminds me like when Vandy read that spread option when the Citadel ran that option. It's just like that type of offense just scares me, and historically, I don't see us do very well with that,
yeah.
man. Like it's
I
just
hate, I hate playing against it. I will say that I hate playing against the old school option offenses.
yeah,
Spread option, nothing wrong with that, but like that old school triple option that like the Citadel runs, oh, it's just
yeah. That's
nobody
Coastal
nobody
runs something similar to that,
yeah
kind of
you know
different, but still kind of similar. You know what I mean?
yeah nobody nobody really pays much attention on how to stop triple option offenses because nobody again because nobody runs them nowadays except like
Yeah.
smaller schools and military academies. It's just
You
and
don't
plus
expect it anymore in the quote unquote big 2025.
yeah, and also too, I've talked about this, but a lot of in times in those old school option offenses, like the offensive lineman will like dive and jump at the defensive lineman's knees, and it's just yeah, I think that should probably be illegal. Just it's gonna be it just makes it a physical knock it down, drag it out fight, and again, Nick Saban's 2011 Alabama Crimson Tide team gave up 302 yards rushing to Georgia Southern that year. I mean, they had a great defense that won them a national title and shut down LSU. But but it's just if you don't know how to defend it, it can take a while to settle in and
Yeah,
figure out what
that's
you need to do to stop it.
that's what kind of worries me.
But I
Again,
agree with
I think
Eddie.
the defense clamps down. I think they play well, and I do think they come up with a defensive score to steal the game, kind of like that late Stone
Yeah,
Blanton pick six against
yeah, I agree.
Jacksonville State.
If I
I can
was
see something like that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if I was Tim Beck, Coastal Carolina's coach, I would preach ball security to them as the most important thing
Yeah.
because South Carolina uses these kinds of turnovers, these kinds of non-offensive touchdowns to really turn the game on its head and pull away. That's what they did against Virginia Tech to pull away, against SC State and Kentucky to pull away. I'd be telling them ball security is key. Do not turn do not turn it over. Do not let them get a non-offensive touchdown and I agree with this. If South Carolina does not get a non-offensive touchdown, this will be a tight game.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, y'all know my prediction. I think it's going to be a tight game. I mean, I still picked us to win by double digits, but I just, again, y'all, this is just how I feel. I think Coastal's going to make this very ugly, and I still am not 100% sold on the new offense yet. I know they look good. I mean, again, I mean, they look better than anything we saw under Mike Shula, but did they really look all that great? Because again, A&M
No.
aided us with a lot of stupidity. But yeah, Eddie's here. I would sling it to Harbor downfield. Yeah, we need to do that more for sure. And hope that Texas cop don't slip in Willie B.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
not even the cops could stop Nick Harbor, man.
Yeah,
Eddie also says, I've been to coastal games. Nobody can run with Harbor downfield. Yeah, no. Yeah, you look, that is what we need to do for sure because, yeah, that'll just be absolutely difficult for him. I don't think they can do that.
yeah,
There's nobody on Coastal's team that can keep up with him, in my opinion. That
yeah.
ain't me
I
just
think
being cocky. I mean, that's just the reality. Nick Harbor,
exactly.
I mean, he was a track star for a reason, dude. I mean, that's just who he is. He has Olympic speed. He was in track for a while. If you get it to him, adios, pal. So
Yeah,
that has to be a major focal point going into this game. Like you've got to get it down and field to Nick Harbor. You have to.
yeah, I agree. It's just, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Coastal do this, but because they know they have nobody who can keep up with him, I wouldn't be surprised to see South Carolina line up with Harbor as a wide receiver and to see the Coastal safety, play far off from him, like play 10 yards, 15 yards, off from him because they know he has that speed. So they might play, far off as a result, so that to try to prevent him from, being wide open with, and getting a big touchdown pass like he did against Alabama and Virginia Tech. That's what you do to prevent somebody from being wide open. You sort of play far off from them. I don't like it, but if you're Coastal, you kind of have to do it. Which in that case, that would open up opportunities for South Carolina to take what Coastal gave them. Which if Coastal does do that, if they play far off to Nick Harbor to try to prevent him from being, wide open all the way down the field, definitely take what Coastal gives you and, use that to march down the field.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's our prediction, y'all. I got Coastal losing. I got South Carolina winning. And I think that's gonna wrap it up with our prediction for this game.
Yep.
So moving on from football now. What's up about the men's basketball team? Beating Radford 87-58 on Tuesday. And by the way, if you guys like some interesting stats, this is the first time South Carolina men's basketball has scored 80 or more points in the first 4 games of the season since 1970-71. That was, of course, under the legendary Frank McGuire. So, again, y'all, offensively, South Carolina is really exciting on the men's basketball team. I mean, they just are offensively. And defensively, I thought they played their best game defensively. I mean, from what I've seen. I mean, it felt like that was, we were only a 10.5 point favorite coming into this game.
Yeah, they were in 9.5.
Oh, because I'm looking right here on ESPN and this says 10.5. But not saying you're wrong, but like
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm using CBS Sports, which they might use different odds makers because there's Caesars Sportsbook and there's like different, different little betting odds sports books. So it's probably using a different one.
For sure. But I will tell you this though, man. Defensively, we out rebounded them 33-16. We out rebounded them in total 40-26. We got 22 assists to their 6. How about this? 4 blocks to their 0. And we just absolutely freaking obliterated them in the paint. 48 for 6 to their 16. I mean, now, we're still 21 fouls. Got to clear that crap up. 12 turnovers. But we got 20 points off of those turnovers, by the way. I mean, to me, I really like offensively how this team is playing. I mean, this is for sure a team that can score offensively. And we appreciate you, Eddie, by the way. We love when you flood our comments, by the way. I love to see that because, like you said, it does help the channel, and I really appreciate it. But going back to the men's team, man, I'll tell you what. It just, again, like I said, offensively, I mean, this team looks very exciting to watch. Now, of course, competition is going to bump up. We're going to see how this team really is against Butler tomorrow, because that obviously is going to be a test for us. Butler's going to be a test. So is Northwestern. So we're going to see if this team can keep it going. But so far, they have been fun to watch, and I do see a lot of promising things from them.
Yeah, I agree with you. They haven't really played great competition, thus far, but it is exciting and promising to see the offense play so well. I'm used to seeing South Carolina men's basketball being more of a defensive-minded team and not really scoring a whole lot of points offensively. So to see them, come out and, put over 80 points, 80 plus points in each game, that's really big and that's a really promising sign. And I definitely think, Eli Ellis has played a major role in this, the standout freshman that everybody was looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
And it is exciting to see South Carolina have an improved offense this year because that's just something that they've been lacking, thus far. It feels like for forever when it comes to men's basketball. So to see them have a better offense, that is so promising and it feels good. And another thing that I don't think whole lot of people are talking about, South Carolina may have not played anybody, but to be 4-0 right now is kind of a big deal because how many times have we seen South Carolina men's basketball lose a November game to a quad 4 opponent that nobody expected them to lose to? They almost did it to Southern Miss, but
I'll say this too, Andrew, not to cut you off, but this was a game that actually kind of worried some people for some reason. I heard some people say this feels like a perfect November letdown game. Especially the spread being as low as it was. Yeah. I heard some people say, this could be one where the Gamecocks slip up a bit. And no, they dominated. They won that game by, if my math serves me correctly, 29 points.
Yep.
Just 1 point shy of 30. So, yeah. I mean, they handled business. And to your point about Eli Ellis, 14 points, man. Continues to be amazing. I mean, this guy, like I said, dude, he's going to be a stud.
He will be. Definitely.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely he will be. A lot of people have been looking forward to see him play, but again, to see them, be 4-0 and to not, drop a game in November to, a cupcake, that is promising because that's something that has just killed South Carolina's NCAA tournament resume in all these previous years, watching them lose to Illinois State, Stony Brook, Stetson, Princeton, Coastal Carolina. The list, it just goes. It could just go on and on. Boston University, it just feels like every year you can always predict them to lose to a cupcake in November, and to see them not do that, and North Florida was another cupcake they lost to last year. So to see them not, lose, the opening, 4 games to look dominant on offense and pretty good on defense, and not, drop a game to one of these cupcakes. Again, not saying this team is going to make the NCAA tournament, but it does give you hope, moving forward in regards to improvement.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm just going to tell you this right now. Butler, I think that's going to be tough. They got a 66% chance to win, according to matchup prediction, but they're only a 1.5 point favorite. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm calling it. I think South Carolina beats Butler. I do. In their house, I think South Carolina beats Butler. And, again, like you said, man, offensively, this men's team, they're just so fun to watch. And, I really felt like defensively we played really solid compared to what we've seen. And, again, Southern Miss tested us. We were close, but, I mean, we found ourselves actually down by double digits at one point in that game. I talked about it, but we found a way to come back and win. So, yep. I mean, that was –
good teams find ways to win.
Exactly. And again, what we said, we're not trying to blow smoke up nobody's behind. We're not telling you this is going to be a tournament team, but like objectively, man, this team can do some really good things. They can.
I agree.
And Eddie says, great show, guys. Andrew, they will play deep for sure. If so, then with their 115 or 120 defense, we should run the ball easily and across the middle. For sure, man. I mean, South Carolina, if you can get the ball downfield in Nick Harbor, I do think Coastal's defense will have a hard time. But, again, it's like we went away from a lot of things that worked in the first half against Texas A&M for whatever stupid reason, and that's why I still don't have a lot of confidence, man. That's why.
Yeah, they stopped running Howell. He should have gotten more carries, and I mean, I'm just going to be honest.
Someone explain that to me. Why do you guys go
Yeah.
away from what's working all the time. Like somebody, please. I don't get it.
It's sabotage. That's what it is.
Yeah, it feels that way. How can you possibly think, hey, this is working? Let me just stop. Oh
Yeah.
my god! But Eddie, I appreciate you, buddy. I don't know if you're still in here, but you are officially a mod for the Cocky Ryan channel. You've been a supporter, and it's always great interacting with you, my friend. So, congratulations, buddy. It's always an honor to have you on the show. It's always an honor to have you here, and we really appreciate you interacting with us. It's great to have you in this community, man. But yeah, getting back to the men's team, like we said, man, offensively, a fun team to watch, really. A fun team to watch. And again, I mean, the competition is going to cut up, but I like what we're seeing so far. And I think Butler, while it's going to be a tough game, I think that's a winnable one. You know, I really think we do beat Butler. That's my prediction. I think South Carolina, in a very tight game, finds a way to beat Butler.
Yeah.
Not in their house, by the way. Excuse me, but I think that's actually a neutral. Yeah, that's a Green Breer tip off Mountain Division. So I don't think that's a home game for Butler, is it?
Mm-mm. It's one of
No, it's
those
not
early
home.
season tournaments, college basketball tournaments. It seems like so.
Yeah, so we got Northwestern in one of those too. So this is like a tournament thing. But look, I think it's a winnable game. Will it be tough? Yes, but I don't know. What do you think, Andrew? Do you think South Carolina knocks off Butler? Because I think we do.
I mean, I think they have a chance. I haven't really watched too much of either team. I know Butler did lose to SMU, but SMU is undefeated right now. But I think it's possible. I mean, we've seen South Carolina knock off Georgetown, so I mean, I think it'll. I don't think South Carolina will get blown out. I agree with you. I think it will be a tight game. I think it's. I wouldn't predict it, but I think it could very well happen.
They can be vulnerable at times defensively. They've given up 80 points twice this season already. One was against IU Indianapolis, the Jaguars, and of course against SMU. So offensively, Butler kind of like us, a team that, I mean, they're averaging points in the 80s. They're scoring over 80 points a game, just like us. I mean, so I think this will be an offensive battle. I really do. I think this will be a lot like the Southern Miss game. And again, Butler, I think they're a very slight favorite, and I do think a lot of people I've seen are picking them to win. I just have this feeling that while this will be a very tough game, I think South Carolina will get it done against Butler. I think Michi Johnson will be the reason we win that game because I think he's going to make a play.
He's been a great player for him thus far this year.
Oh, Meach is the type of player that wins you basketball games. He is, and I think he's going to be the reason they beat Butler tomorrow. So, yeah, that's my prediction. I don't even really think it's that bold. Again, I know Butler will respect. They are a good team, but I still think South Carolina beats them. But speaking of the women's for a minute, let's shout out the women's basketball team for another dominant win. For everybody who wants to talk about women's basketball, I don't know how much you pay attention to them, Andrew. I pay attention to them a lot, but they've been catching a lot of heat for like, oh, but you're not beating these teams by like 50 or something. Meanwhile, they're still beating the absolute crap out of everyone. Well, how you like them apples? They just beat Winthrop by 50.
Yep, I saw that.
106 to 56.
Yeah, I mean, Dawn State, these teams are obviously very dominant, very good. I haven't watched them too much so far this season. I mean, I'll definitely will, try to start watching them. And, not having Chloe Kitts, that hurts a lot. but this team is still extremely talented. One of the most, if not the most
we have
talented
Raven
team in the
Johnson.
country, and exactly, and just.
And by the way, she was the
deep at
best
every
player on the
position.
court.
Deep at every position.
Southern
So,
Cal.
I mean, this is still a very deep and dominant South Carolina team for sure. And it felt good to beat the other USC the other nights.
Oh yeah, Southern USC Junior, real USC Junior. But how about Joyce Edwards? 22 points. And again, Raven Johnson. I mean, she was the star of the court against Southern California. But I'll tell you what, right now though, Medina 23 points, 10 for 12 with field goals. And 11 rebounds. She continues to be a rebounding machine, man. I mean, she is like a well-oiled machine when it comes to that. Latson again led the team. Again leads the team with 24 points. And really, again, this was just a domination against Winthrop. And we were all pulling for Winthrop men's basketball to beat Arkansas, and they got screwed. But had to pull against the women's because they were playing us. But all love and respect to Winthrop in-state school. So I can't hate Winthrop. But the Lady Gamecocks handle business yet again. They do, and they got their next opponent is Queens University, the Royals. They're taking on the Royals. So with all due respect, that's probably going to be another easy win. And then they got Duke in the Players Era Championship. And, at first I thought that Duke game was going to be extremely tough, but they're looking like more and more winnable. But then you have your first true road game against Louisville on December 4th. So, again, this team, again, people were ready to give up on them just because of how they looked in the Clemson game, but they just came out and showed everyone, look, South Carolina's still deep. They are still deep. Anyone giving up on this team is ridiculous. Seriously. I mean, dude, we're 5 games into the season, and I mean, defensively, listen to these numbers: 54, 47, 37, 52, 56. Nobody has broke 60 on us this year. So everybody who just need to chill. But I've gone on tangents in my women's basketball videos about this. But yeah, South Carolina men's and women's basketball, they're undefeated. We haven't lost a game in basketball yet, folks. So, still feeling pretty good at the moment with that. We'll see if the men's can continue their undefeated streak against the Butler Bulldogs. And we'll see if the women can handle business against Queens University. That sounds so... Queens University. That sounds like a New York team, man. Is that in New York?
No, I think it's a
Queens, New York?
It's a North Carolina team.
It's North Carolina because
South Carolina's baseball team has played them. So I'll look it up. But I'm pretty sure it's a North Carolina team. Yep.
I know there's a city in New York called Queens, right?
Yeah, there is. But Queens University that South Carolina is playing is in Charlotte.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's obviously a very small school. So, yeah, that should be another bloodbath. Not really much to say about it, really.
Yeah, but Andrew, it has been a fun stream, brother. But we've been live for an hour and 23 minutes, so we are about to wrap this up. But do you have any final thoughts about this Coastal game coming up this weekend? Do you have any final thoughts before we go ahead and shut it down?
My final thoughts are, South Carolina is to come out there and, come out there punching early, come out there guns blazing, need to open it up early, try to pounce on Coastal and put this game away early. I think they need to get a non-offensive touchdown to pull away. And if they can do that, then I think they can ride to victory Saturday without too much discomfort or angst.
Agreed. Agreed. Definitely one where you need to handle business, but again, Coastal's defense does give you some opportunity to strike offensively, but I will be honest with you, I could see this game being very, very tricky. Again, I've said it. I think this is going to be almost very identical to the Jacksonville State game from a couple years ago, or the Troy game from 2021, Beamer's first year. But hey, who knows? Hopefully, this team. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I hope this team comes out and just all of them respect to those boys from Conway. But I really hope South Carolina comes out and just show something, man. Just show
Yeah,
something. Because, like
people
we
need to.
said, I mean, at this point, you really ain't. You're playing to save your coach's job, right? And just to feel good about. Well, we don't have a ball game, so we really don't have much of anything to look forward to. But can we just finish this season undefeated?
Yeah,
Can we finish
finish.
this season, you know, with something to say? Hey, well, at least we did that. I don't. It doesn't feel like much, and it's not really
Yeah,
something I like saying because it's like, what? How much does that really matter, dude? You're not making a bowl game. All of your goals are officially dead. I mean, they've been dead since week 3, which
yeah,
is sad to say, but just is, man. It's unfortunate we are where we are right now, but it's even more unfortunate that this season has just flown by, man. And I know
yeah.
as Gamecock fans, it's been a very rough season, but for us, I'm a college football fan too, and it
Me
is hard
too.
to believe we are in the final week before rivalry week, and then on to championship Saturday, and then on to the bowl games in the playoffs, and then the national title, then another excruciating 8 months of waiting for college football again. I freaking hate the offseason.
Yeah,
I
me too.
I do. I freaking hate it.
Yeah,
But
I hate it. I will say having college basketball and college baseball mitigates that and makes it a bit more palatable and survivable. But I'll
sure.
tell you what really stinks that 3 month period in the summer when there is no college basketball, no college baseball, no college football. That is the worst.
Yeah, like what once June and July hit, man. Well, late June, I should say, because late June's when
Yeah,
baseball season ends. But it's like when July comes, who that's the hardest. That is the hardest.
yeah. That's when you're really itching for football. And I mean, it's usually around that time where if you're walking around in a store and you see the Lindy's or Athlon sports magazines, you just go to read that because there's nothing really else to keep up with college sports at the moment.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I appreciate you joining the show as always, brother. It was a good show. Hopefully,
It
our
was.
Gamecock show was something. Again, at this point, this season is just so far lost for us. But I mean, can we do something? Can we beat Coastal, and can we finish it off with a win against the arch rival? Which again, beating Clemson's always fun. It is, but yeah, they had a Tiger burn a couple days ago, by the way.
Yep.
Which isn't it kind of early this year? They did it kind of early.
The reason why they do that, and I know this because I'm a student in the USC system, that they've made their Thanksgiving break longer in the USC system. It used to only be for 2 days. Now it's for like a whole week. So that's why they're
Oh,
doing
okay, that makes
it.
sense. All right, so I was wondering. I'm like, are we looking ahead or something? That's what I was thinking first, but no. Um, yeah, man. Hopefully, our Gamecocks win on Saturday. It's been since September. September 29th against Kentucky was our last win, or
Absolutely insane and ridiculous.
September 27th, I should say. Excuse me, but oh man, if you lose this game, if you lose this game, Beamer, out you go, buddy.
Yep.
Out you go, because a lot of the fan base has already had enough. There, a lot of the fan base has already moved on. You still got some people, of course, that will blindly defend him because, well, he won 9 games last year, bro. He won 9 games last year. He loves it here. You know, he loves South Carolina. You know, he got us to the Cheez-Its Bowl last year, y'all. He almost made the playoffs. Let's all calm down. He almost made us the playoffs. All of you guys are going to look stupid next year. Who else loves us? Who else loves us more than he does? Just like, God, it's so embarrassing. But yeah, you all have a good night. It's your boy Cocky Ryan and my good buddy, my partner in crime.
Angie, the textbook.
Check it out.
So glad to be here. Go Cox. Beat Coastal.
That's right. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also share the content. We're out. Y'all have a
Peace
good one.
out.